Hello, and welcome to this week's Invitation to Write. It is always important to keep the basics of writing instruction in mind as you move through the week. Encourage daily time to write and set expectations, such as what the writing space should look like. Help students understand that writing is a recursive process that involves planning, drafting, receiving feedback, revising, and publishing or sharing. Finally, use mentor texts and models so that students can visualize a finished product. Keep nurturing your community of writers by writing alongside your students. Day 1. This week, students will engage in explanatory writing. Before you show them the invitation to write, you might tell the students that explanatory writing can also be called expository or informational writing. This is when writers explain something to their readers by giving them facts, details, and examples or illustrations. In the Students Lit Lab guidebook, they will receive this week's invitation to write and to move through the steps of the writing process. This week's invitation explains that in Dancing in the Wings, Sassy needs to physically balance when she dances, but she must also balance the many aspects of her life that fill her heart, such as family, dancing, and friendships. In the space below, students will fill in the heart map with the different things that fill their hearts. Let's move to the planning stage. Prior to initiating the planning activity, you might want to show students a few examples of heart maps. Then, in the space provided in the Students Lit Lab guidebook, have them sketch their heart maps. This week, they will fill in the outlined heart to plan. Read the additional planning ideas aloud to them. Write or sketch important things that you balance in your life, such as family, sports, school, and friends. Think about people and things that take up your time and care. Guide students by writing a list of important people and things on the board or on chart paper. Model the process for them and share your heart map with them. Once students have completed their heart maps, encourage them to share their planning too. Next, students will move on to drafting. When it is time for the students to move from planning to drafting, have them use their composition notebooks. In their notebooks, they will choose one of the important things they drew or wrote about in their heart map and explain why it is important to them, as well as how they make time for it and the other important things in their lives. When writing with them first, you could start the conversation with, "My family is very important to me. I like to spend time with them, and we laugh a lot when we're together. I also have some hobbies, like writing stories and reading. Since I want to show how I balance spending time with my family and other things I like to do, what are some ideas that you can give me to help me start my writing?" Then, model using the writer's composition notebook to draft. You can show the students your draft and read it aloud. "One of the most important things in my life is spending time with my family. We do a lot of different things together, like playing games and watching movies. Whenever we are together, we laugh a lot. I like to do other things too. I like to read books and write stories. My family always comes first, though, because being with them is most important." Day 3. When possible, make time for feedback. On day 3, students can gather feedback from you and their peers. Have the students turn to the feedback guide located on the last page of the Students Lit Lab guidebook. Using the sentence and question stems provided, or those that have worked well for you in the past, have students ask others to provide praise, questions, or suggestions. You can also prompt students to focus on specific aspects, such as their ideas, vocabulary, design, and/or effort. After students have received feedback or have looked over their writing themselves, give them time to polish their pieces. One way to help students in the revision stage is to have them check that they have all of the necessary components. A genre checklist might be helpful to them as they revise their drafts. You can model this process too. For example, the students might encourage me to make my topic and concluding sentences more interesting so that I can hook my readers. Finally, on day 3, help students choose a section of their writing to share on day 4. Now consider the ways that students can share their writing with their peers. Students can choose to share all or part of their work, and of course, if students are not comfortable sharing, they are not required to do so. Use a designated space that signals the featured author and have peers respond with finger snapping, clapping, or emoji cards. Writing is a joyful act, so make sure that you give them time for reflection. This is an excellent way to build student self efficacy and identity, both as a writer and as someone who might pursue a STEM career. Questions could include the following: as a writer, what did you do well this week? What might you try differently next week? Which part of your writing makes you most proud? What did you learn about balance this week? In what ways do you strive to maintain balance in your life? Finally, don't forget to capture students' work, words, and wonderment and add them to the Wakelet. As always, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions this week.